Hi guys, so welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and as always I'll be your host. Today is Wednesday the 26th of September. It's not my usual recording day, although to be honest I don't think I have a usual recording day anymore. It's the 26th of September, it's the early afternoon, it's around 2 p.m. and yeah, I'm recording today while Layla's at nursery. And if you're new, Layla's my 19-month-old little girl. I was about to say baby, but she's not really a baby anymore. So hello to new and returning viewers. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. Hopefully it won't be too long, but we will see. I didn't think I was going to have a whole lot to talk about, but I'm looking at all the stuff around me and turns out I have a fair bit to go through today. So let's get cracking. Just a quick rundown what we're going to go through. I've got some new patterns that have come out that I want to just briefly mention. We're going through some finished objects, works in progress, and new fun things that have come in the mail. I call them acquisitions, but I haven't actually purchased these, so I guess fun mail is what I'm going to call them. Some knit along giveaway news, and then just sort of a little bit of chit chat at the end. So heavy on the yarn knitting stuff at the beginning, and then it descends more into just general chit chat towards the end of the episode. So if you are only here for the knitting, then that's right at the beginning for you. Alright, so first up, a couple of new patterns that have been released. I say a handful of new patterns that have been released since I last checked in with you guys. First up, this bad boy. This is the Triple Dutch cardigan, which is the adult version of the Double Dutch cardigan, which was the child's version that I released earlier this year. Sorry, I realise my head's being cut off. I'm just gonna move the camera back a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. And there is a larger double cable running down the back. Let's turn around and show you. You sort of get an idea. And there are these two smaller cables running down the front on either side of the button band. It's got a lovely shawl collar, raglan sleeves, top down. So yeah, that's this one. This was knit out of Lolo Did It's yarn. So Lolo Did It yarn in the Whole Lot of DK base, which is a huge hunking skein, like 250 gram skein of yarn. I still have the majority of the third skein left. I only needed about a third of it, I think, to finish this one. And I think I did one of the middle sizes, or 44, 40, I think it was the 44-inch size of the cardigan. It's the one that I made, and as the chest circumference. And the colorway is Make It Rain, and the base Whole Lot of DK base is actually a non-superwash base. So if you are looking for a non-superwash base for garments, that's a really good one. It's 85% Polworth, 15% silk, so it's actually really nice. It's not as soft as like super fine merino, but it's plenty soft to be worn next to skin. Like the t-shirt I'm wearing underneath is a short sleeve. I have no issues on my arms or at the back of my neck or anything. It's not super prickly at all. So yeah, so depending on your level of sensitivity to wool, I'd say I'm probably middle of the road. There are certain things like super rustic yarns I couldn't wear next to the skin or around my neck, but I'd be okay with on like my head as a hat or as gloves. Something like this I would say is probably on the more rustic side of the softer yarns, but not scratchy at all. But Lauren, who is the dyer and creator behind Lolo Did It, she also does carry a superwash merino DK base as well, if that's what you're looking for. So I'll talk more about this a little bit later, but Lauren and I are also co-hosting a knit along for this cardigan, so make sure you pop on over to the Ravelry group to find out more about that, and there's going to be a link to the Ravelry group down below. Ravelry as Mina Phillip, on Instagram as Knitting Expat. You can find the group for this podcast on Ravelry as Knitting Expat Podcast group. And I'm not super active on Ravelry, I will be honest. I am struggling a little bit at the moment with like social media and stuff in general, in terms of being able to keep on top of it. And I'm finding that when I have a lot going on or there's a lot I'm dealing with, that's one of the things that just falls by the wayside, even though I do really enjoy that side of it as well. It's just the pressure to post something that's going to be interesting and like blah, all that sort of stuff, and I end up not posting at all as a result. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But I do check the Ravelry group, even though I'm not super active in it. I do check it, and if questions come up in any of the knit-alongs, specifically about any of the patterns, I do jump in and I do answer them. I'm not super chatty. I do check though. I do read everything that everyone posts, and I see everything that everyone posts, but I don't necessarily have a whole lot of time to sit there at the time right now to be able to do that. But yeah, so, and I keep the Ravelry group going just because it's a good place to sort of like have everything. I've also information in the episode threads in the Ravelry group, which I was already doing for the most part. The only real difference between my show notes and the Ravelry group post threads for the episodes was I wasn't including my works in progress and finished objects in the Ravelry group, so now I'm just going to put those in there as well. Otherwise, all the same information that was in the show notes is now going to be on Ravelry, and I just feel like that's just one less thing for me to do in the podcasting process. It's just one step less for me to have to deal with. Okay, back to the news that I was going on about. So the other patterns that have been released is actually the New York hat collection, and I didn't dig those out to show them to you, but I did release 7 hat patterns as part of a collection. You can either purchase them separately or as part of the collective group. If you do purchase them as the ebook, as like all 7 together, then you do get what it equates to about a 40% discount on the overall cost versus purchasing the patterns individually. I have actually posted 2 videos to YouTube, one about this cardigan and one about the hat collection, going into more detail on each one, about the, you know, the different designs and whatever, and the same with this one. And both of them, I'm running knit-alongs for both this cardigan, and I'm running a general hat knit-along, but you get extra entries if you use one of the hat designs from the New York hat collection. So again, all the details about the knit-alongs and stuff can be found in the podcast group on Ravelry, or in the in those videos that are on YouTube. It's like maybe 2 or 3 videos behind this video on my channel. Okay, so that's it for news. There is going to be a new pattern dropping later at the end of this weekend. It's actually part of this year's sock club. It's part of the Cozy Sock Club, and that is going to be October's club pattern. Sorry, I would show that to you, but it's not quite October yet, and I don't want to give away the surprise. So we're going to move on to finished objects. And first up, I'm going to show you the finished object I couldn't show you last time because it was finished, but I hadn't officially shown it. And this was a project in collaboration with Sam from Lavender Loon Yarn Company and Stephanie from Asylum Fibers. And yeah, we decided to keep it secret until closer to its release date. And this is the shawl. I don't think I can even get far back enough to show this to you all in one shot. This is the Hunter's Moon shawl, is what I've decided to name it. And this will be released at Indie Untangled just before Rainbow. So this is a huge, I don't know if you're getting the idea that it's huge shawl. It's perfect for colder months. It's super warm and snuggly, as shawls tend to be, and nice and warm and squishy. And yeah, it's a really fun play with textures. Each section is actually not that long, so you're not knitting each section for too many rows. So it's one of those things that as you're going, it works a little bit like self-striping in that you just want to get to the next section, and also each section isn't that long, switches up to something else, and so that keeps it nice and interesting. It uses a combination of yarns, so you have 3 colours of fingering weight yarn and 1 colour of a mohair silk yarn, which is held double throughout the shawl. So I'll just go through the mohair yarn. Not sure how well you can see this on camera right now, but it is super fuzzy. You can sort of see that there. It's the super fuzzy halo. That was from Lavender Loon, and that was in the Michael colorway. Now I believe these colorways are named after horror film characters. And so the red color here is Freddy's sweater, Corn. The yellow and green were from Asylum Fibers. The red and the fuzzy mohair was from Lavender Loon. So the yellow was, what did I just say?